Welcome back, Dota 2 fans. Game 3. VGJ taking on Wheel Wreck while whistling, and Wheel squaring the series up at 1 apiece after Game 2. Really just seemed to take the biggest advantage out of the mid lane, where 747's Venomancer certainly disappointed in that second game. VG perhaps showing signs of fatigue, but I wouldn't read into that too much. They should be able to kind of pick up their socks and look sharp once again in this Game 3. It is their 8th game of the day as far as Pro Dota goes. They did play a full 5-game best of 5 and lost in the 5th game, unfortunately, earlier in Midas mode. But hey, Midas mode all for fun and for charity. So shout out to the teams and to Moonduck for putting that together. Really great to watch. Again, we'll see the Stand King IO ban. Omni Knight and Sand King, the other two heroes, remove the pool. There's still a Wyvern left here. And the Bane as well. And VGJ will opt to go for the Bane first, even though it didn't necessarily work out for them swimmingly in the previous game with Stand King. I apologize for those of you watching in game who just heard me cough. I could only mute it on stream in time. A couple of solo casts will get your throat dry, let me tell you. Night Stalker is a hero that we haven't seen in the last few series, but certainly has been on a few teams' radars. Definitely been banned, but unable to slip through the pool just yet. A lot of ways to cancel Fiend's Grip, that's for sure. Already in this lineup, and that just adds another 4 ways between these two heroes to cancel that Fiend's Grip, I believe. Now I'm questioning whether Glimpse cancels it. As I recall, it does, but I could be entirely wrong. I feel like displacing the Bane, he may continue to channel, but at least 3 ways, I don't know. Blame me on Reddit about it. Tidehunter pickup is once again seen, but this time by VGJ. And Snake King certainly very used to playing these tanky types of heroes. Kind of shifting gears in the last game, picking up the Tiny. But definitely more used to these Tidehunter types. Medusa ban once again from Wheel's side. Medusa and Tidehunter is just impossible to fight into. So, totally understandable. They already had the Omni removed in the first phase. Ursa going to be removed from VGJ.Storm, essentially covering their bases as far as the Tide goes. You know, Nightmare is a decent way to deal with Ursa, but certainly not reliable. CK ban comes out from Wheel. They've certainly done their homework, as VGJ picked it in the first game, so they didn't have to look very far back. But something that the VGJ tends to run quite often, and often it's in tandem with the IO, but not always. So they warranted a lot of chase potential for this Wheel side already, but it seems like maybe in the first 2 picks that the response from VGJ is to assemble a lineup that does want to fight together and force you to fight 5v5 rather than being vulnerable to a sort of pick-off scenario. Profit ban from VGJ.Storm comes out once again. Certainly a good way to deal with the Tide. Kraken Shell not going to help you all that much versus the Exorcism Spirits. In general, also just a kind of resilient mid laner. Bane can trade with a lot of mid laners. Death Prophet can trade with many heroes, period. So mulling it over, Wheel's side here, as likely their support duo showing. They are going to have last pick is Wheel, so not too uncommon that we see, 4, 5, and 3 being picked in the first 3 slots. Could potentially look at a Timber Saw for Wheel's side. We saw one earlier today from Monkeys from Leviathan, and certainly nice to have up against the Tide Hunter. Also the Bane, who tends to stand still during grip. Take a lot of damage from that. They'll pick up the Brewmaster, kind of similar in nature, but it definitely offers some more control. Cyclone is a really nice way to deal with Tide Hunter in fights. Similarly can deal with Bane. The Boulder Toss, though, probably just as effective as far as dealing with Bane and his ultimate. Really do like the Brew pick from Wheel here. Alright. Could we potentially see VGJ take a page out of Leviathan's book with a core Slardar? Not exactly sure that's what we're going to see. Bane, pretty good, by his lonesome as far as locking down or holding down his safe lane so Slardar can kind of afford to roam. And they're also a pretty good combination together. Nightmare into the Crush, of course. So my assumption is still at this point that we're looking at 3, 4, and 5 for VGJ. Tide, Slardar, Bane. And Jug going to be picked up here by Wheel. Gives him a little bit of everything. Spell immune safe laner that can allow the Night Stalker to kind of roam him around. A little bit of the sustain in the push. And some good team fight output as well. Some ability to scale. Purge the Corrosive Haze potentially as well. Couple of very interesting lineups from both sides. Massive AoE purge, really nice to have for the Brewmaster in this one already. And of course, the good old Drunken Haze in lane is going to make whoever's a safe laner for VGJ.Storm's life hell. Although Bane may even, garner a Drunken Haze or two, as, he can really bully off the Brew, at least at level 1. Before there's a Drunken Brawler point. And that probably still doesn't come out for a while. Perhaps level 4. Viper is going to be the pick from VGJ.Storm. We just talked about Drunken Brawler, and if they put that Viper in the safe lane, yeah, Drunken Brawler not going to be all that great. Of course, they can flex him towards mid, which is, where I really like this VGJ.Storm pick. They are still going to have to pick their last pick before Wheels, but at least the bans have to, or this last ban had to be kind of wide open for Wheel. They'll ban the Lifestealer. Makes sense with the Tide and the Slardar kind of as vessels. Also, big physical burst, good against Juggernaut in general. And he's pretty good against the Brewlings as well, having, built-in spell immunity. All right, well, I am officially a biased caster because I love Terrorblade, but it's Eternal Envy's fault, guys. Into the Static Storm, it's a difficult Terrorblade game. However, you know, the Brewmaster, you know, specifically the Fire Panda, can be bursted very quickly with some big physical damage. And of course, Corrosive Haze synergizing extremely well. You've got Viper, Tide, who are two great frontliners. So makes a lot of sense to have a Terrorblade this game. You know, not a hero that's too worried about Night Stalker running at him unless it's a full unit running at him. Like, just Night Stalker alone doesn't really threaten the Terrorblade. And there we see kind of the solution to the TB, who's, you know, a very low base HP, very high armor hero for Yawar. They are going to bring in the Zeus to kind of try and burst him down. It is going to be 747's Viper up against VGJ.S Zeus in the mid lane. And, you know, there will be a Night Stalker for Wheel's side for the Zeus, but there's also a Bane for VGJ. So feels like Ryoya, you know, he was shut down pretty hard last game. Feels like he should have a much better time in this one. It is game 3, guys. Semifinals here of stage 1 of the Galaxy Battles 2 NA qualifiers. 1,500 DKP minus, you know, Dota points, whatever you want to call them, championship points up for grabs at this major. It'll be 16 teams participating. Still, though, VGJ or Wheel, they need to win this series, win their next series, win another series. They need to win 4 series to make it to the major. So still a long and grueling road ahead. However, you know, this is laying the foundation for both sides. Just make sure I put the in-game overlay on here and get to work. Nox looked really good on his Tidehunter last game. His Omni wasn't bad in game 1. He was up against the Snake King Doom, so pretty rough matchup as far as that goes. Really like the Viper pickup from Storm's VGJ.Storm side. See how it pans out for 747 in this one. The 5th pick Zeus for VGJ.S up against the Yawar Terrorblade. It should be slated to have a good game as well. Look at this hero, man. He loads out with 34% physical resistance. Incredible. Snake King and Flea hanging around bottom lane. And Flea does have the boots first. Snake King holding a skill point. Maybe if they think they can net first blood, he'll skill a gush, but probably rather unlikely. Moose, QM, all going to move down towards the rune, and it seems as if the Dire side will back away. Even 747 forced away now as they make a united movement. But Flea will snag the southern rune from right under their noses. And so we'll still trade 2-2. 747 will get back towards the mid lane, but he will be at a disadvantage as far as the blocks go. Why just having none of these rune shenanigans. And we'll get the wave to be up on his staircase, even using a little bit of creep aggro to drag it back further. And 747 opting for the early corrosive skin, so no kind of nether toxin passive, the old nether toxin, I should say. Looking to do a bit of dewarding with Flea. Doesn't find anything bot lane. For now, he's going to join up with Snake King. Nox going to look to pull away the creep wave. And he's going to get nightmared up, and that'll bring the creep wave right back. As Yawar continues to tank. Meanwhile, I didn't miss first blood. 2-man crush. Going to follow it up. Does QM get brought down here? It doesn't feel like it. In fact, Flea could be in a little bit of trouble. And salving up is the Juggernaut. So something I failed to mention in the draft screen about the Juggernaut is, yeah, he doesn't care about Kraken Shell. Blade Fury pretty damn good against Tide early on, so that'll net them a kill. Still last hitting very respectably is Yawar, despite having a Brewmaster in this lane. And that is kind of the merits of having Stan King Bane early on, is that he still can body him out of lane, or at least force the Drunken Haze onto himself on the Bane. Flea over near the Arcane Rune is going to pick that up. He's only level 1 though, so I'm not sure how much use he can make of this rune as far as, you know, rotating towards the mid lane or anything of that nature. As Moo's going to deny up a range creep away from snaking. Has been a rough early go. Why just down on the low ground? Could be a little bit vulnerable to a rotation in from Flea, but Flea, again, no sprint available to him. Two levels in the Corrosive Skin, just basically wanting to eat the Arc Lightning on purpose in order to harass the Zeus. Cheeky build from 747. I'm gonna just forego the Nether Toxin for now. And just continually refreshing the Corrosive Skin. He will have his bottled ferried out now, and top lane Moose and Stan King getting into a little of a scuffle. Turp going to take some damage from snaking. QM will look to back the Tidehunter away, and in fact he's going to get trapped up, and Blade Fury is going to be there, and snaking should survive this, but perhaps only barely. He does have 4 magic wand charges. Flea's still looking to find that level 2 and should be able to do so with this bounty rune, or at least these 2 bounty runes. Turp going to run into a Slithering Crush, and now sprinting forward with his level 2 is Flea. He needs to get out of range of this kinetic field and can't. We'll get the crush off though, and the kinetic field will expire. Now Derp in trouble. One more right click needed, and it will be there. Flea is going to find him. Nicely done by the Slardar player. And he'll have another bounty rune on the north side as a reward. Meanwhile, Rioya going to be aggressed upon in this mid lane momentarily, it seems, as first nighttime is going to yield a kill on this Viper. Despite having the Corrosive Skin, he should end up dropping. Does get the stick off though. Throws a right click in. Stan King with a Brain Sap will get the return kill. Now rolling through with a 3-man crush is Flea. He will get glimpsed back, however, and Onox will survive for it. It's going to be 2 for 1 in the mid lane, as they do get the Night Stalker but lose both the Bane and Viper. Clearing up is Flea, deeping into the shrine for VGJ.S as Rioya takes his first spill. Still though, heavily dominated is the CS by the Dire side here, 5 minutes in. And the major gap, you know, I talked about Tidehunter, you know, being kind of a Necrophos slash Timbersaw, in that to some extent what he does is just kind of shove your wave under your tower. And QM, he's had a bit of a rough time, it seems, as far as CS goes on the Juggernaut under his tower. So he's, you know, about 60% of the way to the CS that's been generated by Yawar. So mid lane, VGJ.S in a lot of trouble here. He's going to get crushed up, and coming up the hill with a couple of right clicks is Rioya. Now Moose could be in trouble as he's Viper struck up. Does have the Hunter in the Night Note though, so moving pretty quickly. Phase Boots are there as well, and he will make it back to safety. But they get the all-important VGJ.S Zeus kill. And Yawar free farming in this early game. Going to pop up the meta. Get to work on the tower alongside his siege creep here at 5 minutes in. And with the Drunken Haze coming through is Onox. Still, though, not going to deter this push just by his lonesome. And they do at least see the Juggernaut in the bottom lane. So feeling like they can continue. Now they're chasing for Derp as well. Flea runs out of the sprint here, but they just need vision for the crush. And yeah, Flea will find himself a killing spree. Meanwhile, Yawar gets about half the HP of this tower down in the top lane with that meta. And continuing to farm away is snaking 30 CS for this Tide. Meanwhile, Noobcaster misses a kill. Night Stalker rotates into the top lane. But they actually lose the Brewmaster. 3v1. Yeah, Sunder used. And seemed to work very well. And Yawar just playing extra confident in this top lane. He's going to get hazed up, though, and Void will slow him down. Pops off the reflection, level 1, and will catch a thunderclap to the face. YGJ going to die in the meantime. And the Terrorblade will end up dropping. Has the Treads Aquila, though. And, you know, still the most farmed hero in the game. Still a really nice pickup for VGJ.Storm, but they lose YGJ in the meantime. And this Zeus, who is meant to be the Terrorblade solution, is rather low as far as farm goes. Crush, and well, they had a Soul Ring Ravage, but you know, not sure that was quite enough to kill off the Jugger. As mid lane, Crippling Fear and the Void go out just as nighttime expires there, right before 8 minutes. He's got 14 wand charges, though. Does 747, and perhaps they can actually kill off the Night Stalker here with the Gush. Couple more right clicks. No, they can't. He'll make it back to base. And you know, Ravage could have netted them a kill, but they'll hold it. Perhaps allow them to push a tower here shortly. The threat of it, at least. As YGJ going to grab himself a bounty rune and make his way to grab another. But for the max bolt build against the Terrorblade makes a lot of sense. Just as much burst damage as possible. Flea has a double damage rune. I'm going to get to work on the mid lane. Plop down a ward behind the tier 1 as well. And it looks like the Radiant thinking about wrapping here, but they haven't assembled as a unit yet. They don't have the Brewmaster split, although he is coming in now. And with the Drunken Haze, oh, 747 going to entirely soak the Omni Slash. He gets the Viper Strike off, and Thundergod's Wrath will end up killing him. It is a full 5-man rotation from Wheel. They don't expend the Primal Split, though. They're certainly still able to fight. However, that is a TP from the Brew, so he will be split from his comrades for the next little bit. 747 could be in a little bit of trouble here bottom lane. Yeah, glimpse back into the Blade Fury, and likely to be taken out here. Gets the Brain Sap off, and the Ravage actually flying through from Snaking as well. He'll kill off the Disruptor. Thunderclap does not kill Stan King, who makes it away. So Kings stick together. Snaking going to expend the Ravage for Stan King. We saw him hold it on the Night Stalker mid lane. Gets the Disruptor kill here, but perhaps more importantly, prevents the Juggernaut from getting any sort of momentum in this one. And Snaking will get back to cutting the wave. He'll just hang around, wait for QM to, you know, walk close where he anchor smashes, and as soon as QM sees that anchor smash is used, he'll back out. Meanwhile, Yawar's made his rotation down to the bottom lane to assist in this push, and doesn't even feel the need to use meta here to bring down this tier 1. So Tidehunter, man, he's the new Timbersaw. He just sits in your lane, tanks the creeps, and has his wave constantly beat on your tower while you try to last hit. Ryoya mid lane, no points in the Nether Toxin. Has the Viper Strike available, though. And rotating through his Flea, looking for the Crush, trying to bait out the Blade Fury, and is unable to do so. The Crush hits on the Creep Wave. Stan King may be in trouble here. Darkness not available for the Night Stalker, but the Glimpse is available for the Disruptor, and Stan King going to be brought down. No Ravage to save him this time. Speaking of Ravage, Snaking hanging around here. And TP inbound from QM will force back Yawar's hand. Flea finding some space in the top lane, looking to eclipse that all-important level 6 milestone. And a 404 build from Ryoya just doesn't feel like 3-button Viper, excuse me. Wants the old 2-button Viper. We already talked about the merits of Corrosive, and feels like you always have to max poison attack just the way it scales, especially with the CD. Smoke up bot lane. It seems to be the destination for Stan King and 747. As snaking. Oh, they see the smoke coming and the pings. QM desperately trying to make it back to base. Now Stan King rolling through. Does he get the spin off? He does, but they have the grip there. And Snaking has a Ravage if need be as well. He'll get the Omni Slash off, but the bounces, I mean, they'll only delay the inevitable. Nightmare will come through. Stan King's in trouble, however, and perhaps Snaking a little far out as well. They are going to glimpse back the Viper. Now the Primal Split will fly out. Ryoya fairly tankily. They Cyclone up the Tidehunter, and Reflection going to come out from Yawar, but seems like they will let the Viper fall. And we talked about it in the draft screen. Cyclone is just a great way to deal with Tide in team fights. And we see it working out here. Primal Split, though, is expired now. And perhaps the Night Stalker in trouble. Flea going to run right by him. And Moose will continue to the north, drop down a ward. And meanwhile, Skirmish breaking out. YJS in trouble. And they'll get some revenge for their fallen 747 Viper. But perhaps more importantly, will continue to do work into this bottom tier 2. Ryoya going to return himself to mid lane, continue to farm away here, working on a Hurricane Pike seems to be the plan for him. And has the Viper Strike available. There's no Primal Split, they know that. And with the Corrosive Haze, they'll make quick work of this Brewmaster. Night Stalker running in terror. And usually he'd be the one committing it. Tier 2 in the meantime taken out by Yawar bottom lane, and Tier 1 in the mid lane vulnerable. As Yawar rotates through. His Metamorphosis soon to expire here, but Snaking and Ryoya, they will take down the tower mid lane in the meantime. 747 the one to pick up the last hit. QM looking to find a trade here top lane. Dire do have a glyph available. We'll see if they pop it here and look to defend this. They will just show Snaking, and that'll back QM off.
Soldier's fortune.
And VGJ looking strong in this one. Have the blink available now. Blink forward. Going to force out the Blade Fury, but no one flanking from below. They will reveal the blink from Flea, who has a great timing on it considering his position. But they have taken already three towers, excuse me, from VGJ's side. So a lot of kind of team-oriented gold coming their way. Part of the merits of the Terrorblade pick. Terrorblade with the Treads, Dragonlance, Aquila, Yasha. So very stat-heavy build to this point. Man sitting on 25 armor in strength and agility treads. Stan King going to be silenced up. Crippling Fear. Void will cancel the TP as well. They'll throw a Terrorblade Illusion, but it doesn't look like that'll scare anyone off. Jump forward, though. The Crush just might. Hits onto 2. Corrosive Haze will be there. Snaking has a Ravage available if he wants to use it here. Static Storm will be there. And Ryoya taking a lot of damage to the Jug as well as these Brewlings. But the Ravage now connects onto 3. Ryoya still surviving. Boulder Toss up to the high ground. They will be able to kill him off with the Jugger. Meantime, the Night Stalker taken out on the south side. Cyclone up onto the Tidehunter, and Flea has a blink available. He hits the Crush. It's only onto the Jug as the Brew does TP out, but QM should be in trouble here. Grip even expended, and why not? And they'll take him out. Brewmaster will find himself a regen rune for his troubles, but only losing the Viper for 3 wheel heroes. Certainly VGJ 4 wheel heroes, excuse me, must be content with what they grab out of the mid lane. It'll be 1,200 net experience going their way, 800 net gold, and you know, you can increase both of those by roughly 500 or so with this Roche being taken down. So generally you'd expect the Viper to have the second life, but you know, 747 being dead and teeping towards the bot lane. Terrorblade will pick it up. And he is the most farmed hero in the game for Yawar. Working on the Manta isn't far off, just needs the recipe. Couple 100 gold on top of that. 747 did go for the Force Staff before the Dragonlance. And has been kind of caught in Static Storm, so see how if that pays dividends. Stand King 15 seconds until the grip is available. He does have vision of this Jugger as he walks down to the low ground. And looks like they are going to try and pincer him in. YGJ.S nearby, however. And Bolt flies out. But over on the west, the Slardar coming through with a 2-man crush. They'll even save the Thunder God's Wrath, because what's the point? They'll end up getting off the grip. Corrosive Haze is going to be there. Flea has a crush and will expend it. And it'll be an easy second kill for 747. Keeping in towards the bot lane, snaking. All that's needed to deter any sort of push being queued up by the Brewmaster. 2 heroes on the sidelines. 2 important heroes at that in the Jugger and the Zeus. And Yawar as well as 747 will get to work on the mid lane tower. Meta's up in 5, and they do have Aegis as well for the Terrorblade. But for now, feels like they should be able to take this tier 2 without major contest. Everyone, though, is up, and they do have a blink clap split. Jump forward, clap will connect onto 2. Nice Force Staff, and the Sunder going to come out from Yawar. They get a big, oh, not a big Omni Slash necessarily. Still only level 1. Rioya, though, looks like he will end up falling for this. Meta was popped, and the Slardar is rotating in. Stand King kind of out of position here, and the Brewlings will be able to bring him down, it seems. He'll nightmare himself defensively for the moment. Now Stay King rotating through. Does have the Ravage available. He'll connect it onto 3. They'll take 2 kills almost immediately. No, YGJ.S still surviving, actually. Static Storm does come out. Glimpse back. And YGJ.S, yeah, it looks like for now he'll make it. And so the Ravage and the Meta expended here in the mid lane, and they only get the Brewmaster while losing Stand King and 747. They should get this tier 2, though, with the remaining duration of Meta. Yawar will back himself to safety.
Clear as clean water.
Manta completed up by Yawar. Can feel a little bit more safe in those fights going forward. 10k net worth. And it is a 12k lead here. For VGJ. YGJ.S showing briefly in the mid lane. Now Force Staff down to the low ground. Sunder is there from Yawar. Lovely play. Wasn't even his Force Staff, and now they're going to jump forward for a little bit more onto the Brewmaster, who's actually crushed up here and does not have the split available with the Corrosive Haze. They take him down quickly. Derp could be in trouble too. Yawar still has Aegis hanging around here. Snake King absolutely unkillable on the Tide. One more right click with the Corrosive Haze. The Terrorblade finds the kill onto the Disruptor. Meanwhile, Crush is going to find the Night Stalker. They get the buyback out from the Disruptor. And a lovely play. Glimpse back, though, onto the Tide. And buy back from the Brewmaster. Snake King just able to blink away, however, beyond the glimpse. And still Aegis in hand for this Terrorblade. He'll pop the Manta, try and get to work. 2-man crush comes out from Flea. And they get the Force Staff onto Rioya as well. Out of the Static Storm. They'll kill off the Disruptor. It's a dieback. Fighting on the front lines, the Brewmaster, but he's all by his lonesome, and that'll essentially be a wasted Primal Split. Omni Slash right into the fray from QM. He won't get crushed up, though, as he's able to make his way back out, but Flea, well, he's waiting for it. The Nether Toxin is there. No Drunken Brawler dodge, and now jump forward. Ravage finds 2, and GG is called. As with Aegis expended there, VGJ.Storm breach base and take the series win in 21 minutes. And 8 games, who? VGJ.Storm looking perhaps most sharp in all 3 games of this series in the last one. And definitely showing some mental fortitude here. Rioya had a much better time on the Viper, and Flea just making tons of space for his squad. 0 deaths on the 4-position Slardar, 5-0-12. And just a 14-minute Blink Dagger is what allows him to get all of that done. Yawar, one of the easiest games of his pro career for sure in the last little while. As he just absolutely skyrocketed all game long, and no one even within arm's distance of Yawar by game's end. Till then, guys, it's been a lovely day. Very pleased to cast this bit of Dota for you. We've got some more Galaxy battles coming up in North America tomorrow night, starting at 5 p.m. EST. So be sure to follow at Beyond the Summit on Twitter for all the times where the channel is live. And these qualifiers will continue forward. It is a double elim, guys, so Wheel not eliminated just yet. We'll hear from them again tomorrow as they fight for their tournament lives in the lower bracket. But I hope you enjoyed it. Today, guys, VGJ.Storm going to move on to the grand finals of Stage 1 of this NA qualifier. If they're able to win that, they'll join Optic and Complexity in Stage 2. It's MRP here, guys, on behalf of Beyond the Summit. I hope you guys have enjoyed the cast and hope you continue to enjoy your Saturday night. See you soon. If you want to know all the times when I go online, you can follow me at MRP Dota on Twitter. Appreciate it, guys. MRP signing out.